Good afternoon. Good afternoon, all. Welcome to today's David and Mike show. A little chatter going on before we started recording, and we've got a chat box challenge. And I was wanting to start off by saying it in the same fashion as the Cash Cab guys, chat box challenge. But
There we
I,
go.
I, I don't have that voice, so forgive me for that. Um, and the challenge is, and I'm going to put mine in here. By, oops. What song is your go-to song right now? I have go-to songs every once in a while, and I get very phasey with songs. Mine right now is an old classic, and it's "Dreams" by Fleetwood Mac. I've
Oh man.
always loved Fleetwood Mac, but I think the social media hype with Dogface. I don't know if you guys saw that dude, the guy skating. He's a local Idaho boy. He was skating down the freeway, and he had that. I mean, put that song back up on the top of the charts, and I can't get enough of that song right now. Anyone else? What do you got? We all have go-to songs.
I'm gonna type mine and then tell you. Um, yeah, I'm all over the place with my type of music that I listen to, but I had to just look at my Spotify and see what's been coming up a lot, and it's here. Some Black Sabbath, Planet
Okay.
Caravan. It's just like a cool, slow, kind of weird, trippy song where you can't really make out some of the vocals, and so you have to listen kind of
I,
intently. And I like kind of obscure music like that sometimes.
I,
So that's mine
I,
right now.
I know that you and I've got a similar taste in music. We have a lot of bands that we like together. I don't know. I love Black Sabbath. I don't know this title. I'll have to go back and listen to it. But anyway,
Okay, it's on the Paranoid album, and it's
all right,
awesome. So check it out.
good stuff. I love music. But yes, thank you for joining us today. We are going to be discussing the new Fusionetics program that we are offering. And before we start getting into talking about it, I wanted to see if anyone on the call has actually had the assessment done yet, or at least initiated, gotten the ball rolling with the whole process. If you have, please let us know. And we would like to provide you all some more information about what it is and how it works and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. So let us know if you've done it before. And any type of movement testing and movement screening is so beneficial because it allows us to kind of analyze what you're doing and how you're using your body. And it kind of contributes to everything you do as far as like physical performance and injury prevention and pain and stuff like that. So it can be really helpful to do things like this Fusionetics assessment. I'm really excited about it. I've been doing a bunch of them myself.
Yeah, so anyone on the call? Any takers on the program yet? Has anyone signed up or actually gone through the assessment? And if not, that's a-okay. We're just wanting to see if anyone's had any experience with it yet.
Yeah, if not, that's cool because you got a blank slate and we'll tell you all about it.
I'm seeing nothing pop up. Okay, so starting in 2020, we have, well, it's kind of been in the works for a little bit, but we have a new software program. I guess is that what we're calling it? A new application type deal, and it allows us to be able to provide assessments a little more thoroughly and develop workout programs based on this application. And it allows us to be a lot more virtual and remote. And it entails a few different movement screening tests. And what kind of in a nutshell, what it is we will ask you to perform a series of different exercises and movements, looking at the shoulders, at the knees, at the hips, and we can note our findings using the program, and it figures out what's going on in your body. Do we have tightness on one side that we need to look at? And if so, it's going to say, hey, we need to do some stretching and maybe some release techniques over here. It could be a muscular imbalance thing. And kind of what the overall goal of Fusionetics is to be able to develop a program specifically to what you need. You know, we can't just go to someone and say, hey, can you make me a workout program without knowing everybody's individualities? Is that a word? Individualities?
I'm going with it.
But with what everybody needs. And this is a way that we can become a little bit more personalized with what we can provide with you. That's kind of my nutshell overview of it. David, did I miss anything, or do you have anything else to add to that?
No, I think that was a great way to kind of start it off. And this is something that I say a lot to people, and people don't think about it this way very often, but movement is medicine, and making sure that you have the right medicine, the right type of movement specific to where you're at right now is so helpful. And so Mike was just saying those big three kind of joints is what it's focused on when we're doing the Fusionetics stuff. We're thinking about hip and pelvis, spine, and then that like shoulder girdle area. And those can be kind of complex with all the muscles and joints and bones at some of those structures, but breaking down just a handful of movements and how you kind of move with these exercises that we put you through can really tell us a lot, even really simple ones.
Yeah.
um, Go ahead.
Yeah, so I went through it with myself just as now as I was learning the program,
That's what I was going
and
to ask. I was going to ask if you've
I
gone through and what you've learned from it.
yeah. So being that this is a new way, I mean, I've been very systematic on how I approach assessments. I've been doing them structured the same way for a long time, and so this is a little bit different area that I'm exploring. And I wanted to do kind of like a mock eval on myself, and I was doing it correctly, like as if I was a real person who wanted to know more about my findings. And I found that my left shoulder right now has been pretty problematic, and it shows me what really is going on with my shoulder. Um, with When you're able to find and not diagnose, we can't use that word. When we're able to find and assess correctly what's going on, we can prescribe exercises that are kind of indicated for you and contraindicated. Contraindicated meaning there's no reason you should be doing that. There's plenty of other exercises that can be done to um, work with what your shoulder needs. I can't do all exercises with my shoulder right now. It's been getting pretty bad. I know what I can and can't do, but for without having that background info, and if someone was to say, hey, let's go get you doing some overhead shoulder press, if we don't know if that specific movement is causing an impingement or the pain or whatever, we need to be more precise in what we're telling or having our members do. And so that's kind of the ultimate goal of this program.
So when you went through the assessment, and I'm gonna break it down a little farther into like what each one looks like too, because we got plenty of time on the call. But Mike, when you did the assessment, did you see from your results that one of your shoulders or your shoulders in general really needed some work?
Yeah, but I mean, it's nothing that I was surprised to see
Sure.
by
Yeah.
any means. But yeah, I mean, you can clearly, if when doing the test correctly, and it requires two people. It requires both the person being tested to move as accurately as possible. And another point I want to make is, so let's say like the squat test. I don't want to teach you how to do squats on this thing. I want to see how you do squats. If you're trying to um, impress me by doing a perfect squat on this, we're not going to find what we need to find. So we want you to move as naturally as you do, when you're not being tested. I want to see what your real squat looks like. Sorry, I got off tangent right there. What was the question you asked
No,
prior
it's
to that
okay. Yeah,
before
yeah. I
I?
was just wondering if it kind of pointed out to you that your shoulder was really kind of going through it, or both shoulders needed some work.
Mhm. Yeah, well, I mean, yes, and then I'm able to see it with like reaching behind my back and all of
Hmm.
those different, so many different tests. I can see how limited my mobility is right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was,
So two
yeah.
two of the things that you kind of talked about there, kind of hit on a little bit there, were that if at any point somebody experiences pain, then they let us know and we can check that, and that helps us know a lot too. If you're doing all the cueing that we told you and there's pain during the movement, that helps a lot too. And then we can assess if there's some type of compensation happening, and based on that, we'll know how to grade it. Um, but yeah, so the first one, if you're doing the full test, is like a 2-leg squat, and how you have to squat on the test is not how I usually squat every day if I'm gonna like lift weights or teach a class or anything like that. You know, with my toes straight forward and shoulder width apart and everything like that. It's not how we do it in our workouts necessarily, but that's because I'm working around some things that I have going on. Like the big thing after I did the test for myself was that my mobility in my ankles is really bad compared to pretty much everything else up the chain. And so that's why my toes have to come out a little bit, or I have to get a little bit wider with my stance and stuff like that. So it's kind of a workaround, and then you have to do all those the foam rolling, the stretching, the activation to kind of help along the way. But in the lower body, there's the 2-leg squat. There's a 2-leg squat with your heel raised, and then a single leg squat, which again is super tough. I don't know about you guys, or I don't know about you, Mike. I see Nick's on too. Man, I tell people right before, I'm like, don't worry about it if this doesn't look or feel good, because you'll like lose balance or barely be able to get down, especially compared to your 2-leg squat. Have you seen a lot of that, Mike?
I've seen a ton of that. Yes, a
Yeah.
one-legged squat it's very, very, very difficult. Not only the balance required, but the just the explosiveness to
Yeah.
perform it. Little side note with pistol squats, the one-legged squat, my kettlebell instructor, he we I was at a certification course once, and someone in the crowd said, "Hey, can you show us that jumping pistol that you do?" And he kind of smiled and he's like, "No," and was being real modest about it. And I hadn't heard anything about it. So he's finally gives in. Okay. And so what he did, he pulled up a 36-inch table and he was standing on the top of it. And then he was planted on his right foot. So hopped his right foot over to the far left side of the table with his left leg completely straight out, so perpendicular to his body. He dropped off and then exploded back on to, so it was, and it's on YouTube, and I want to link this
Whoa.
because he repped 7, maybe 8 of them consecutively.
Get out of here.
When you go back, when you take the mic, I want to go look for this because I want everyone on this call to see this. It's pretty amazing. He's kind of my claim to fame. I love this guy. He's my idol. So yeah.
Man, that is
But yeah,
crazy. And
back
and
to,
when he did that though, sorry, I have to follow up one last thing. When he did that, form looked really good too.
oh, absolutely. I
Oh
mean,
my
you
goodness.
you could tell he's getting tired at the end. That
Sure.
each one regressed, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. But
Man, that's gnarly.
so yes, going back to the single-legged squat, and so there's going to be tests that perhaps people can't do, and it's not going to be forced, and we're going to work with what we can do.
Yeah.
One thing to note prior to getting into this is it does require us to have a lot of working space. And so we want to be able to see your entire body above your head and all the way down to your feet and a little bit below in the camera. So we're able to watch your entire body as you're squatting or doing the shoulder exercises. Virtual backgrounds are no good because it really takes away with what we're trying to do. And ultimately, we'd like to see you. At least I like seeing people in shorts. The more skin I could see, the better. I like seeing knees. I like seeing what everything's doing. So those are some kind of prerequisites that I ask for. Anything
Yeah.
on top of that, David?
Yeah, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I like having people prepared when we get on the call, so you're
Sure.
not having to kind of jumble around and look for stuff. One is definitely the wall and making sure that we're using your real background, a little bit of space to move, have your entire head to toe we can see with no shoes on. You kind of hit on that already. The other one is, if yeah, shorts or like fairly tight fitting clothing. You don't have to be like decked out in Under Armour, but I like to see again those joint angles we have to see. And then the last one is I just make sure that there's something to lift your heels with, because we talked about the 2-leg squat, we talked about the single leg squat, but there's also a 2-leg squat with your heels slightly raised. When I'm in the fitness center working with people, we'll use like 5-pound plates or 2.5-pound plates, something like that. It's just a really good way, if you are limited, like I was just talking about with myself and that ankle, to kind of work around that and make sure that you're upright when you're doing some of the squat postures and stuff like that. So those are the big things that I make sure people know and are ready for.
Any suggestions on what to use for a hill lift?
Yeah, so if you do have the plates, awesome. There's some people that I've had that have some type of plate that helps a lot. Most people, I just tell them if they have two books that are like similar and it's that same, like, something like this, if you're
Mm-hmm.
watching my video, um, that just lifts a little bit. Have you used anything else with people?
No. So the
Okay.
book thing, if you do want to make sure that we're on the opening side, not the binded side, because the binded
Yeah.
side's going to give and it's kind of flex a little bit. A
Yeah.
2x4 is a little bit tall.
Hmm.
Like a 1x1 or something like that would be great. I don't think a 2x4 is necessarily bad. I don't think it's too tall. I think we would still get the same findings. And the pro to that would be you could get one as wide as you would need. It's a little bit easier getting one something wide rather than two books the exact same size.
Yeah.
Plates work great. Weight plates, not like canister plates.
Yeah, don't be shattering your plates.
Those give way a little. They're not very forgiving.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything that's really rigid enough that will support your body weight on your heels.
Yeah.
Yoga blocks are too tall.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything. I mean, there's got to be something around the house. I know over on the side of my house we've got little brick pavers. Those are going to work well as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff. A trip to Home Depot, you'll find something.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can use. You just want to make sure both feet are at the same level. You don't want to have one book that's like this and one book that's like this, because then we'll
Yeah.
see imbalances. But yeah, most people just use books around the house for that one. But those are the three that you're talking about for doing the full test of your lower body. And then when we move into upper body, you start getting into like the push up and start getting it, which is the only one that you do on the floor. And then when you get on to the shoulders, we're talking like flexion, internal, external rotation, and then the last one's horizontal abduction.
Hmm.
So just how those shoulders are moving, that's when the wall comes into place, and making sure. I know for a lot of people and myself too, when I first did it, my feet were trying to creep forward, or something's trying to creep forward. So making sure that you have your feet, your butt, your back, and your head, all those 4 points of contact, all against the wall, is really important for those.
Yeah.
Anything to add for the shoulder stuff or any
I
of
think
the
it
upper
was
body?
not from me. Nick,
Okay.
if there's anything, please feel free to chime in. If not, don't worry about it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I can't think of anything. Um,
Cool.
I think
And
that
then
was it.
yeah, and then the last one is just the spine, which that one's kind of super easy and straightforward when we're talking about first that trunk and lumbar spine, when we're doing flexion, rotation, and then you finish with that head and neck area where you're going up into that cervical spine, flexion, rotation once again. Um, so again, it kind of reminds me in a lot of ways of the functional movement screen. And if you haven't done that before, it's a 7 site test as well, where there's a lot of the same things. There's squats and there's like lunges and a push up and some stability and rotation and stuff like that. So lots of similarities there, because that's how we move. We move in those three planes of motion. So we're always trying to make sure that we assess in 3 planes of motion as well.
Yeah, Nick brought up that there's a modified test in Fusionetics as well.
Yes, big point there.
I like all the assessment talk, and I mean, assessments are such a big part of the workout plan in general. I mean, without a proper assessment, you really don't have a good base or foundation to build upon. Something that I learned after moving to the Boise area is I love getting people out into a fresh snowfall to look at hips and look at what hips are doing. And the way I do it is, if we've got a fresh sidewalk where we just got a couple inches of fresh snow, take whoever out on the sidewalk and let them walk, and not tell them that I want to look and see what's going on, but just the pattern that you could see in the snow is very telling on what's going on with the hips.
Mhm.
And if we have a foot going this way like this, there's a lot that we learned just from that. So I like, there's so many tools to use when it comes to assessments. I love that. I love using that. I like being hands-on too. I was taught a lot about the ankle when I was in school, and I like starting by getting hands-on right on the ankles and feel how everything's doing. But I mean, that's in a perfect world when we're back on site. We're not right now,
Sure,
so
sure.
that's one of the benefits of what this does for us, since we're not able to be there and get hands-on in person. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. You're talking about walking in the snow. I think of similar things, walking on the opposite side of the spectrum, kind of walking in the sand and stuff like that, because you're kind of figuring out. Yeah, it's kind of the same type of thing. Um, but so that's, we're just kind of talking about the testing and how to go through that, but what you get out of it is one of the best things, right? You actually get a score out of it, and then you get programming out of it that's going to help you move better. And with that programming, you get, the sets, the reps, even videos of what it entails. You can kind of review that with your program manager, your trainer. And I know that for me too, it's stuff that looking at my own results, and then looking at the program I set up for myself, because I obviously want to go through this if I'm prescribing for other people. It's stuff that I don't do as much as I should. When you're talking about some of the foam rolling stuff, some of the stretching, activation, even the functional re-education stuff, I certainly don't do enough of that as a like organized way of training. I play sports and stuff, but not as a way of relearning how to move correctly. So it's a really good refresher for me as well.
yeah, yeah, good stuff. Um, any other comments or anything on this? There's a whole bunch of new info we're dropping on you guys.
Yeah, totally. Let us know any questions about what we've been talking about to this point. Going over
And
a lot.
along those lines, have you all received the emails about it, the invites? Want to make sure we're getting those out as well. I'm not seeing anything about invite. Could I get a confirmation for someone that you have been getting invites for this? Just want to make sure that stuff's not getting caught up in our Mimecast, which has been a thing before.
Yes, it has.
We've got a no, not for this class, but for the Fusionetics test. Yeah, for
Yeah.
Fusionetics.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
I've got it. Okay, just wanted to make sure that that was getting out.
That's good. Yeah, I know I've gotten a lot of responses too, so
Okay.
glad to hear that. So let me ask this, because we're talking about kind of human movement. I'll ask Mike this, and then I would love for everybody to just drop it in the chat box. How many days per week, so either 0 to 7, are you getting some type of movement in? Like, it doesn't have to be lifting heavy weights or whatever. It can be swimming, yoga, stretching, walking for 30 minutes. How many days a week on average have you, let's say in the new year, let's say
Mhm.
this past month, have you guys been getting some type of movement in? Put it in the
We're
chat box. I'm about to, and then take it away, Mike. Go for it.
All
I'm just
right.
putting in the chat.
We are definitely 5. We it's interesting how sore I've been getting this year, but just new exercises. You change exercises up a little bit and you get really sore. So I've actually been taking more rest days this year. And when I say rest day, it's going to be a light, maybe it's a long brisk walk, maybe, but it's not lifting as much. So I'm 5. We're consistently with 5. Yeah.
That's good. That's a good number. I'm seeing 4, 5, 6, 5 to 6 from Mike. Annika's at 4. I'm at 6 right now. Um, obviously getting 7 days a week is what we're all shooting for, but kind of being kind to yourself and knowing that that's not gonna happen all the time. Man, I love my recovery regeneration Sundays where I'm not getting much movement in. It probably would be better if I got a little bit more in some of those Sundays. But yeah, I certainly enjoy that too. But the
We
more
gotta
the
have
better, especially when it's that light stuff.
we gotta have recovery.
Yeah.
It's part of the equation.
Yeah, the harder you're going, the more you need that recovery.
Yeah. Yeah, good numbers here. I mean, the lowest I see on there is 4, and that's still a great number as well. So that's fantastic. And so of these days that you are we talking a minimum of a half hour a day? Are you putting a time limit on it? Or is it
I would
just in general?
Yeah, I would say that. I would say 30 minutes is probably a
30
good
minutes.
place to,
Mhm.
it's probably a good place to be
Yeah.
because right now, well, for me personally, I'm just gung ho about being able to exercise again because I couldn't
And
for 2 weeks. So I'm going
and
six
breathe
days a week doing that. Yeah, and breathe correctly.
and breathe.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm just happy to be moving around again. That's why I'm at 6 right now. It probably was more an average of 5 throughout last year,
Yeah.
but um, I bring that up because some of the Fusionetics programming, especially the like self-care programming that we're talking about here, not necessarily the performance-based stuff, is a really good way to supplement what you're doing now. Whether I had somebody last week that was training for a marathon and they were just trying to get that maintenance work in, great way to supplement it. Or if you're just trying to get more movement, that's a great way too. Because I mean, it doesn't, depending on what your results are and how much you want out of it. I mean, it's going to take what 10 minutes a day, so it's something that you can easily add to your strength program or your cardio training program.
Yeah. Very good. You guys have been a very quiet bunch. So just wanted to open it up one more time for questions or anything we've talked about today, or how to get started, or does anyone need the registration link to do so?
Yeah, anything or just general training at all, you got us. We got
We
what,
we
like
have 4
two
minutes.
two 3 more minutes? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, feel free. Don't be shy, y'all. I'm gonna call on someone now. Mike, what's your workout for tonight? If you guys are quiet, I'm gonna
Yes.
call you out. I know Mike is. I'm gonna be
Oh,
joining Mike in a
yeah,
little
sorry, I
virtual
missed.
workout
What was the
tonight.
question, Mike? But
What's
before
your
the
work?
workout?
Oh, I was just wondering if anyone had any other questions about anything we talked about today.
Okay, yeah. So my workout tonight is shoulders and legs again.
All right.
Today's leg
Again.
day.
Oh man.
And yeah, it'd be cool. I know you guys have like a schedule and everything, but I'm really looking or interested in getting tracking macros, and
Hmm.
learning about like the ratios and what apps you would recommend. So I mean, I don't know how your schedule looks or fitting into this class, but yeah, macros is a topic I'm really curious about. And Mike and I have had some kind of one-on-one conversations, and it's really interesting, and it's a lot for someone who I don't really track calories or anything, but it's pretty cool. It's cool to learn that kind of thing.
We can definitely do
Great
that next
topic.
week. I have a lot of experience with that personally and coaching people that did that kind of stuff. So yeah, tracking macros and just yeah, keeping up with some of the nutritional stuff. We can
Hmm.
certainly hit on that next week. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Cool. Looks like we've got a good topic. I'm excited.
Me
I like
too.
talking macros.
Let's see. Austin says left leg knee
Aust-
bend.
Austin just had surgery on his right ankle, and
Yeah,
he's
okay.
he's in recovery mode.
That makes sense then.
Hence, left leg knee bends.
Got it. And then
Very good.
Christy, yeah, getting some more steps and getting back into Cube Fit classes. Yeah, that's good. That's a great way to start it off. And like we were saying, if you want to supplement that with some Fusionetics stuff, there's modifications that we can have you do along the way if you're looking for ways to kind of incorporate some more movement.
Good stuff, everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about time. I really enjoyed this topic, and I'm really excited that we have a good topic next week. Thanks, Mike. We're always open to what you guys want to hear about. So if you have anything else, just drop us an email or put it in our Teams page, and we'll kind of get a little list going.
Awesome.
All right, everybody. Thanks so
Thank you.
much. Take care.
Thanks,
We'll see you
guys.
next Thursday.